Hello, beautiful friends and family. Okay, so I know that you are all absolutely dying to hear about my weekend in Paris. So here it goes. Okay, so first I have to go get on my train, and my class went a little bit longer than expected. So I actually missed my train that I had a ticket for, so I had to get a new ticket and jump on a new train. So I get on a new train and I don't realize that the cars are like numbered and I have a specific number on my ticket until I'm already on the train and it's like moving and stuff and I'm in the wrong car and somebody's in my seat. So I asked this woman, I was like, what's going on? And she points out the car stuff to me and I'm like, oh, okay. And so I'm going through the cars and I'm trying to count them in my head because I can't figure out where the number is for these cars. And then I'm in this, like, I've lost count. So I stop in like this car where you like go stand and eat food and stuff or whatnot. And the train ticket checker guy comes through and he's like, you're not in your seat, right? And I'm like, I know, I couldn't figure it out and I couldn't find my seat and, I'm sorry. And he's like, okay, well, just keep going straight ahead and you're like in the last car and you'll be fine. So I'm like, okay. So I finally find my seat and it's fine. I get to Paris and it's awesome. And I get in at about 7:45 or so. And Dad doesn't get in until like about 11 or so because Dad was coming in to spend the weekend in Paris with me. Yay! But anyway, so I came into the Gare du Nord and Dad was coming into the Gare du Lyon. And so I have my map and I'm walking towards the Gare du Lyon to go, meet Dad while exploring the area simultaneously, how I do. And this lovely African French guy, older, much older, like probably 40s, 50s older, stops me in the street and he says, "Are you lost? Do you need help? Where are you trying to go?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm trying to find that Gare du Lyon. Do you have directions you could possibly, help me with or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, you take the bus 65, and that will take you to the Gare du Lyon. Do you have a phone? I want to see you again. Can I see you again?" I'm like, no, I'm going to meet my dad at the station, and no, I don't have a phone." Which I do, by the way, but I told him I didn't. Just saying. Anyway, so I tell him that I can't see him later because it's just not gonna work. And he's like, "Okay, tomorrow I see you tomorrow. I give you my phone number. You call me and I see you tomorrow." No, I'm going to meet my father and spend the weekend with my father at the Gare de Lyon. I cannot see you. Well, I give you my phone number and you call me. It's okay. And then I take you to the bus stop. I get on the bus with you. I take you to the station. No, I can find it by myself. Thank you. No. So he finally gets a message and he's like, okay, and leaves me alone. And I'm like, thank God. Anyway, so I do end up taking the bus, and he did tell me the correct bus number, which was very, very nice of him. So I get on the bus and I go to the Gare de Lyon, and I get there fairly early. So I'm walking around the area, sort of exploring, and it's a pretty cool area. It's not bad. And then I go and I meet Dad at the station. Yay! And we get to our hotel, and we check in and whatnot, and put our bags in the room. And he's like, "Have you had dinner?" And I'm like, "I had an apple earlier, but not really." He's like, "Well, I haven't had dinner, so let's go find some food." I'm like, "All right, it's freaking Paris. We should be able to find some food, right?" So we leave the hotel and we walk a little bit, and there's this restaurant that says all night service on the marquee. And so we're like, freaking yeah, let's go get some food. Sweet action. So we go in and we sit down, and we're sitting there for like half an hour before we can get the waiter guy's attention. And he comes over and I start to order us some food, and he's like, "Oh, no, kitchen's closed. The kitchen is closed." "But you say all night service." "No, that's the bar. The kitchen is closed." Awesome. So anyway, so we kind of went to sleep a little hungry on Friday night, but you know, it's whatever. I mean, it was close to midnight, but it was a Friday night, so I feel like I don't know. Never mind. Anyway, so it's France. Anyway, so the next morning we're at breakfast, which was really tasty for a hotel breakfast. I'm just saying, like coffee, crepes, and juice, and baguettes, and croissants, and it was lovely. Anyway, so Dad's like, "What do you want to do today?" And I'm like, "I don't. Well, I have like five things, but do you have anything like any burning passions? I mean, it's freaking Paris. Come on, everybody's got something they want to do in Paris. I'm like, come on, Paris holds the key to your heart." And he's like, "No, not really. This weekend is all about you." And like my heart just kind of melts a little bit because I'm like, "Oh, Dad, I freaking love you. You're the best dad ever." So um, we map out. Well, I take the map and I like put stars on everything that I want to do, and I have five things that I want to accomplish in France at this point, and that is Notre Dame, the Musée d'Orsay, the catacombs, the Moulin Rouge, and the Eiffel Tower. That's it. That's all I want to do. That's all I want to see while I'm in Paris. And so we're closest to the Notre Dame, so we start over that way first, and we take the metro, and we come out, and we're by the Notre Dame, and the admission for Notre Dame is free, and so we walk inside, and first off, seeing it like from far away is absolutely spectacular. Like I'm standing there on the street looking for a street sign that says Notre Dame this way, and then I look up and I'm like, oh fuck, there it is. There's freaking Notre Dame. And so we start heading towards Notre Dame because you can see the towers, and oh, she was absolutely spectacular. She was beautiful. I love the Notre Dame. I love her. It was stunning. Oh, and so then we leave the Notre Dame, and it's fairly close to the Musée d'Orsay, and it's sort of a walk, but it's France. People walk everywhere. So I'm like, let's just walk to the Musée d'Orsay. And so we're walking, and as we're walking, we pass by the Marché des Fleurs, which is the flower market. And these flowers, like, dude, you guys, you don't even know how fantastic these flowers smelled. They were just, oh, they were so good, and then they were absolutely beautiful flowers too. I loved them. Loved these flowers. And then they have cute little like shops and stuff. They had one shop that had a display of little like miniature hurdy-gurdy music boxes sitting out, and one of them played the Carmen Habanera, and I stood there for like a good minute to 2 minutes just going through playing the Habanera little bit on this little miniature hurdy-gurdy, if you will, outside this shop, and it was absolutely fantastic. Um, Anyway, so then we continue our journey to the Musée d'Orsay, and the line wasn't like super long. It wasn't like really short, but it wasn't super long, and it moved pretty fast. So we get into the Musée d'Orsay, and we get to the ticket counter, and the guy at the ticket counter is the first French person in Paris who did not switch to English after figuring out that I was not a native French speaker. And I really, really appreciated that. I don't get enough of just actual French conversation with French people while here in France. And especially in Paris, they can smell a non native like 5 miles away. Or, okay, 5 meters, because we're not in the US system of measurement. Anyway. So that was really, really great. And they had a Degas exhibit of nudes at the Musée d'Orsay when we went, and so we went to see the museum and the Degas exhibit, and it was absolutely stunning. I mean, I love impressionists, and I love Degas and his ballerinas. anyway, but God, his pictures are so fantastic. I just absolutely adored them. And we're walking through the exhibit, and I see this. We turn the corner, and there's this one giant painting of this guy, and he's dressed up, like he's got his clothes on. He looks kind of like as if he's just finished putting his clothes on. And he's standing by a window that's open, and this woman is lying on the bed naked, and she's like, it's really obvious that they've just had sex. And the room is done in like blues and whites, and it's one of the most spectacular paintings I've ever seen. It took my breath away. I absolutely loved that painting. Loved it. I mean, the rest of the exhibit was absolutely beautiful anyway, because it's Degas. But so we finished the exhibit, and we go up to the 5th floor, which is the Impressionist floor, which is the floor that Becca loves the best, because I can't get enough of Degas and Renoir and Monet and Manet. Even though Manet is really in between the Romantic and the Impressionists, but still, he is fantastic. Anyway, it was the most exquisite artwork I've ever seen. I have no words for how breathtakingly beautiful every single painting was. Every single one. I could spend hours on that floor. It was so good. And if you can't tell from this video how I feel, then I don't know that you would ever have that feeling in your life. But anyway, moving on, because there's much more to move on to. On the 5th floor of the Musée d'Orsay, since it used to be a train station, they have this giant clock and then this giant rose window. And the views from this window and this clock are absolutely stunning. They're just fantastic. And through the rose window, you can see the Sacré-Cœur, the church. Like it's almost like you could reach out and touch it. Like it's amazing. It's absolutely stellar. And so then after the Impressionists, we work our way back down to the 1st floor of the museum with the sculpture garden. And at the back of the 1st floor of the museum is this exhibit on the Paris Opera House. Like the Paris Opera House. Palais Garnier, something like that. I don't quite remember, but it's one of those. And they have this miniature, like, diorama of the Paris Opera House cut in half, so you can see all the inside of it. And it's absolutely beautiful. It's so stunning. And I walked up to it, and I'm like, I'm gonna sing on that stage. I turn to my dad, and I'm like pointing at the stage. I'm like, I'm gonna sing on that stage. I don't know how I knew, or like what. I don't really have any reasoning for saying that, except that it just felt extremely correct to me to point at that stage and say, I'm gonna sing on that stage one day. In that moment in time, it just felt completely correct for me to say that. And the opera house itself is absolutely beautiful. And so the rest of the area around there are these little miniature insets in the walls, and they're of miniatures of different opera sets that the Paris Opera House has used over the years. And it's absolutely, every single one is breathtaking. And it was probably like almost the coolest thing in the museum. It wasn't the coolest thing, but it was really, really close. And it was very exciting. And so then we walked back to the front of the museum through the sculpture garden type area, and we crossed the Seine and went over towards the area by the Louvre, and we had lunch at this cute little cafe. And we're walking down these like little shops and stuff, and we stopped at one to look at something, and they had, which I'm now slightly regretting I didn't buy one, but they had these little like thongs in a box that were like, the embroidery on them was like the Eiffel Tower. It was an Eiffel Tower thong in a box. I think it's awesome, and I'm kind of sad that I didn't get one now. But anyway, since we were so close at that point to the Eiffel Tower, we just kept walking to the Eiffel Tower. And on the way, we walked down, walked past the Grand Palais and the Petit Palais, and then, which are big, like, art venues for those of you who don't know. And then we're walking down the garden area of the Champs-Élysées, not anywhere close to any of the shops or anything, because Dad probably would have killed me if we had been over there, let's be honest. Anyway, so we're walking down, and there's